Now let's go ahead and let's finish off this lamp. So I can see in my reference image, we have to create this top part up here. Okay. I really don't know what that's called in real life, so I'm just going to call it the lamp hat. Alright, so what I need to do is I need to start off by creating a cylinder. So I'm going to create a cylinder for us here very quickly. And I'm going to align it with the pole. And I'm going to just move it up to about right there, to where the bottom of the lamp hat is on the image. And maybe a little bit lower. Actually, now I'm just being picky. Okay, let's take the radius and increase it to about the base radius of the image. Now I'm just going to go ahead and convert this thing to an editable poly. I'm going to take that top polygon, move it up to the top where it needs to go. Then I'm going to scale it down. A little hard to see in the image there. Something like that looks pretty good, like that. Okay, now that I got pretty much the size of that thing done, what I can do is simply come in here, take the bottom polygon, delete it because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to take the top one here and I'm going to delete that one as well because I don't need that one anymore either. Okay, now next thing to do is I'm going to give this thing a little bit of thickness, and the way I'm going to do that is by using the shell modifiers we've seen before. Okay, so I'm going to take the shell modifier. I don't want to give it an outer amount, or actually, yeah, you know what, we'll give it an outer amount. That's fine. I was going to go with inner amount, but you know what, we'll just go with outer amount, it's fine. So something pretty thin like that. Let's go to, can't activate NURBS toggle at this point in time, but let's give it a little bit thickness, something like that. Looks pretty good. Okay, maybe not too thick. I'm going to collapse the modifier stack, convert this back to an editable poly, turn on NURBS toggle, and this is what we have. We need to go ahead and fix this. So let me turn NURBS toggle off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to the top. I'm going to grab that edge up there and select the ring. And what that's going to allow me to do is I'm going to go ahead and, not going to chamfer that, I'm going to connect that a couple of times. I'm going to turn on NURBS toggle so I can see what's going on. I'm also going to go to subdivision surface down here and increase my iterations to 2. And 2 segments for this actually looks pretty good. Let's try 3. I'm going to go with 3 and hit OK, even though 3 seems to be a little bit little overkill there. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go to an edge mode. Let me turn NURBS toggle off. I'm going to select that edge right there and grab its ring. And with the ring selected, I'm going to go ahead and use the connect tool. I'm going to connect this one time. I'm going to slide it toward the top so you have a good little bit of space right there in between that. And I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm going to grab those new 2 polygons that are right there. I'm going to go and select the loop. I'm going to go to geometry and I'm going to detach as a clone and as a separate object. I don't want it to be an element. I'll hit OK. I'm going to grab that new object, change its color, just so it's easier to identify. Now with that new object selected, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my modifier list and apply another shell modifier to it. Okay. I'm going to give this a little bit of thickness here. Something like this looks pretty good. I'm going to collapse that, convert back to an editable poly, turn on NURBS toggle, and you can see what we end up with. I'm going to go back to subdivision surfaces and give this thing 2 iterations. Okay, so we've got kind of this ring that goes around the top, and you'll see why in a moment, why we needed to create that. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to need another ring for the bottom. But I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this first, then we'll create the one in the bottom, just so it makes a little bit more sense. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create another cylinder. And I'm going to go ahead and use the align tool to align it with this new blue object we have up here. Okay. And I'm going to give this cylinder 12 sides. And I'm going to take the height and reduce it. I'm going to go to a front view, switch to wireframe. I'm going to move it until the height is kind of right here, aligned with the little blue object in the background. So we end up with something like this. And if I go back to a perspective view, you can see what I have. So you have this kind of flattened cylinder right there. I'm going to reduce the radius and make this pretty thin. Something like this looks pretty good. And I'm going to go ahead and convert editable poly. Now I want to select every other polygon, so the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to polygon mode, select 2 polygons. I'm going to go to modify selection. I'm going to select this button here, the dot loop. That's going to select every other polygon. Okay. Then I'm going to go and use the extrude tool, and I'll go to the top view here. Basically I want to extrude this so that the polygons go into that blue object. So you can see here they went into the blue object like that. Hit OK. So you basically create this sort of spindle type object. That's what I want. You see how this comes into play a little bit later. If I turn on NURBS toggle, you can see what I have. Turn that off. I'm going to come in here and select this polygon, and I'm going to hold down shift and scale this down a bit like that. I'm going to make that a new object. I'm going to select it, maybe change its color. And if I go to the reference image, you can see we have this sort of round piece that sticks out at the top. That's what I'm going to go ahead and try to imitate right now. So the way I'm going to do that is pretty easy. Just going to extrude this up to about right here. Then I'm going to go ahead and use the inset tool. Inset that a little bit, scale it, extrude it up to about right here. Looks pretty good. I'm going to take this ring of edges here and connect that maybe 2 times. Hit OK. I'm going to take these 2 loops right there of edges, chamfer that to make the edge sharp, like we've done in the past. Hit OK. And then the top, I'm going to take the top polygon, scale that down just a bit. Then I'm going to take this loop that's right here, scale that up like this. Take this loop, scale that up a bit too. Then we go to NURBS toggle, and we end up with that sort of shape on the top right there, which is what I want. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm happy with that. Okay, if you want to, you can take the spindle object here and give it some NURBS toggle, just to make it look a little bit more round. And what I'll do is, we take NURBS toggle off. Let me go to edge mode. I'm going to select basically all of these edges from the arms of the spindle. I'm going to go to connect. And I'm going to slide the connection till it's about right there. Hit OK. Now I want it to be a little bit closer, so I'm going to use the move tool. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come down here to edit geometry. I'm going to turn on edge constraint. That didn't work out. Okay. Editor, edit that video. Start again. 3, 2, 1. Now what I could do is I could take those edges right there. I could chamfer them. It's a very small amount, about 1 segment. Hit OK. That's going to tighten that up a little bit more. So we end up with something like that. Now I do need to select the polygons from this object here. So let me isolate selection. Take the polygons at the end here. We could delete them. I'm not going to delete them just yet because I'm going to actually need them in a moment. So now let's go ahead and let's go back down to this guy. Grab that ring of edges on the inside there. I'm going to go ahead and connect that one time. Make sure that the slide is down here. I'm going to select two of those polygons, select their loop. Go to geometry and detach as a clone, as a separate object. I'm going to select that new object right there, maybe change its color. I'm going to go ahead and add a shell modifier to it. Collapse that, convert it back to an editable poly. Turn on NURBS toggle. I'm going to go to subdivision surface and give this thing 2 iterations. Okay, we're going to take this guy and give it NURBS toggle as well. This is where we can reuse the spindle on the top. What I'm going to do is take that spindle up there, hold down shift and make a clone of it, make one copy. I'm going to go to the front view here and position it right there with the little green object. Maybe I'll scale it down a little bit so it fits better. I'm going to go back to my perspective view, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, let me isolate selection on this guy. I'm going to select the polygons on the ends over here of this object. Okay. I'm going to go to the top view, get out of isolate selection mode. I'm going to grab the new spindle I created and the one on the top. I'm going to isolate selection. And then with this spindle here for the top that we created earlier, I'm going to go to polygon mode. Let me see, somehow I ended up deselecting my polygons up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and select them again real quick. And make sure that you switch over to local coordinate mode and just move this like this, and you'll be able to move it right into this object like that. Okay, now it's not exactly on the object, so we're going to see if we can't fix that. I'm going to move it down. Move it into the object like that. Go to top view. Should be good now, and it is. Okay. Now the middle polygons here we don't need, believe it or not. So we're going to go ahead and go to polygon mode. I'm going to turn on the window crossing. Select all those polygons and delete them since we don't need them. I'm going to exit isolation mode. I'm going to come over here, go to wireframe, go to vertex mode, select all the center vertices right there, and go back to world coordinate mode and move that down to about right there. Okay. And it looks like I made a copy of this on accident, so I'll just delete the extra copy there, and this is what we end up with. Okay. Alright, just to add a little bit more detail to this guy, I'm going to turn off NURBS toggle, go to edge mode, select that edge, grab the entire ring. I'm going to connect that one time, but I'm going to move the connection toward the top up here. So about right there, so I have kind of this little piece right there on the top. I'm going to select those polygons right there, grab their loop. Go to NURBS toggle. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the extrude tool, the options here. I'm going to extrude by local normal. I'm going to reduce the extrusion height by quite a bit. So I just want it to extrude a little bit, maybe 0.1. Hit apply, and then hit OK. It's going to kind of create this little kind of lip, a little piece up there. Kind of sticks out a bit. Just gives it a little bit more detail. Go back to NURBS toggle and turn it off. I'm going to select that edge right there, select the ring. Then I'm going to use the connect tool here. Hit OK. And I'm going to use the move tool, but I'm going to activate, I'm going to come down here and activate my edge constraint. Now I'm moving to the point where it's pretty close to the top edge up there. And I go to NURBS toggle, you can see it fixes that up for me pretty good. And I'm going to do the same thing on the bottom over here. And it's just little details like this, but they actually go a long way to improving the quality of your model. So I'm going to move this edge down to about right here. Looks pretty good. Select those 2 polygons that are down there. You can see down here, I never actually fixed this. So let me go ahead and do that now. I'm going to take this edge here, select its ring, go to connect. Take the slide, place it at 0. Give this thing about 3 connections there. Going to go back to polygon mode, make sure that I select these 2 polygons and get their loop. Then I'm going to do the same thing as I did to the top. I'm going to use the extrude tool options, hit apply, and then hit OK. Then I'm going to select that edge, grab its ring. I'm going to connect this thing 1 time, slide it down, hit OK. I'm going to use the move tool. Make sure that your edge constraint is turned on, and it is. You just move that close to the bottom there. When we turn on NURBS toggle, you can see what we end up with. I'm going to turn my constraint off, so place it at none. And there we go, that's done right there. Oh, and it looks like I messed up here. I deleted the spindle that we had up there. Okay, so to undo that, so I'm going to take the one that I've already got created right here. Hold down Shift and move it up. And I'm going to make, yes, 1 copy. Move it to the top. I'm going to take the spindle and the top ring up there. Isolate the selection. I'm going to take the vertices here in the middle of this guy and move them up to straighten that out. And take this guy and place it at about the middle of that object right there. We'll go to the top view. And I'm going to have to select these polygons again, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is why you should pay close attention to what you're doing and make sure that when you clone objects, you're cloning exactly what you have to. I realized what happened was that when I made the clone of this, or I thought I was making a clone of this, I accidentally didn't make the clone of it and ended up paying for it. I having to redo some work again, but that's okay. Just come in here and move this in like that. Gives you more time to practice modeling. And then over here, it's going to be pretty interesting. What I'm going to have to do here is, and let me go ahead, I'm going to go to the border selection, select the borders here for these guys. And with those borders selected, I'm going to go ahead and cap that. Sorry. Start again in 3, 2, 1. I'm not paying attention here. I don't know what's wrong with me. So start again in 3, 2, 1. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edge mode and I'm going to select these edges right there. And then I can go over here and use the bridge tool to bridge that stuff together. Let me see if I can get away with doing a couple at a time. And no, I can't. So I'm just going to select these guys. Go to bridge, bridge that. Take those guys. Bridge them. Take these guys. Bridge them, take these guys, bridge them, and bridge the last ones over here. And I could take this border here and I could cap that one, take the border on the top, and I could cap that one. Now to make things a little bit easier on myself, here's what I'm going to do for the top. I'm going to go here and create myself a sphere. Make sure auto grid is turned on. Okay, move this thing up like so. I'm going to turn on slice. Not going to turn on slice. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to come in here and convert this thing to an editable poly. Select all the bottom polygons here. I'm going to turn the window crossing feature off. Take all these bottom polygons, delete them. I'm going to move this guy down here. Now I need to align him with the little spindle piece right here, so I'm going to align that. Hit OK. Then I'll move it up and place it right there. And then what I'm going to do is turn on NURBS toggle on that. And that's what we end up with that little piece that's up there. So let me move this up actually. And let me take that border edge at the bottom. I'm going to cap it. I'm going to select that bottom right there. I'm going to take that and let me see what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to go ahead and chamfer that. Make it nice and sharp. Hit OK. I'm going to take that polygon that's right there and I'm going to go ahead and inset that a little bit. It's giving me some trouble here for insetting, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the inset option tool instead. It's just going to work out a lot better. If I turn off NURBS toggle, you see what I have. I'm going to extrude that down into the spindle object here. Go back to world view. Once it's inside, delete the polygon. We don't need it. I'm going to take this loop right there of edges, chamfer that. Turn NURBS toggle, and that's what we have. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it at that. I'm going to exit isolation mode. And there's our lamp. We're pretty much done with this lamp right here. Okay, that does it for that one. In the next video, we're going to go ahead and create the little smaller table lamps based off of this one.